All right, guys, welcome back to chapter 7, or just to QuickBooks in general. Today we're going to be looking at chapter 7, which is going to be how we can customize QuickBooks to either our liking or the overall company file. Now, the great thing about understanding how to customize is pretty much just to make it suitable for you, but also to tailor to your company. Like what company colors do they use, right? What means of organizing or completing the details that you need to have in order to go ahead and proceed with the company file. So every single chapter, like I've mentioned, right in the very beginning, right underneath the topics, you will always see this box right here, and it's going to tell you the exact QuickBooks portable file that you need to be using for each chapter. So in this case, today we need to be using customizing 21, and the password is always going to be Questiva 21, okay, with a Q, right? So we're going to practice that today, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and go to my QuickBooks file or program. Now, in this case, remember, if you remember yesterday, I cannot just double click on the file. I literally have to go open the program first and then use the program to open the file because it is password protected. So in this case, I'm going to practice here. Now, I am at the home page, home screen of QuickBooks, and usually you won't see this pop up, especially if you use the program and you have used a file previously, but I'll show you what happens when we do that, okay? So again, I'm going to go ahead and click open and restore a file, and I have the three options once again. I am not opening a data file, I am opening a portable file, okay? And I'm going to click next because now I need to locate where that portable file is. Now in this case, I have right here Final 21 portable files, okay? And they want me to open customizing 21. So here, you make sure you read carefully because you got customers and then customizing. Okay, so customizing 21. And what you're going to notice is that you have customizing 21 problem 1. So the whole entire package that you do download that is part of the support files is going to also include the practice problems at the end of the book. So make sure that you are using the correct one. So I just go ahead and double click it. Now the next section here is because they're technically, if you are using or working on a data file, you can save a location. But because I'm opening a new portable file, I need to redirect where I need to save it. So I'm going to click next. So this is once again, you cannot just save it right here, okay? Because this will take you to the local C drive. You need to be the admin of your own computer to be able to have access to this. Now, many times I've done this, I'm not able to save anything on here because this is the local C drive. So what I usually do is I create my own file, whether it's on the desktop, whether it's in your documents, okay? So I locate it under LVPTA, accounting, QuickBooks class, QuickBooks portable files, and here you guys are, AM QuickBooks for January 31st. Here's the current working data file that I do have. Yes.
How do you create your own file? And can you slow down a little? Because you're jumping from screen to screen and it's kind of hard to keep up.
Okay.
How do you create your own file? You said you have to create your own file and that you have it here and you have it there and you have it here and there. But how do you do that? Because I'm unable to access mine and I'm just going to ask you for help after class. But how do you do that?
It's okay. This is very standard basic PC. You just right click on it and create a new folder. Okay. You name it whatever you want to name it. So in this case, that I already have this folder for the class. You just click on it and save it. So what you're doing right now is you are creating the file itself, but what you're trying to ask is how do I create a new folder to put all that stuff in? Well, that's
Well, I'm
very
asking
basic.
because I have it in a folder, but I can't find the folder.
Okay. So then you can always create a new folder anytime, anywhere, but that is definitely something you have to set up ahead of time before doing this. I mean, like I said, you can just if it really means that you could just go to your desktop and save it there, you can also do that as well. You can also create a folder at any given time. So if I wanted to right click and create a folder on my desktop, I can do so and say that this is for the QuickBooks class. And then I'll just put the date, okay? Or let's do QB 31, and then I can just go ahead and save it in this folder.
Okay, so when you go back to retrieve it from that folder, do you have to go back through the same process? Or when you go, because it won't be in your C drive, right? It'll be
No,
in the folder.
it will be wherever you downloaded your student portable files. So in this case, yes, you can use your student portable files folder if you do not want to create your own. That is completely fine. But in this case, I've already created a folder under LVPTA, Accounting QuickBooks Student Portable Files AM QuickBooks class. So this one I've already created ahead of time. Okay, so and then okay, so let's do that again. So we're gonna go to we're gonna go open and restore a file. We're gonna select the file that we want to open, which is what kind of file. We chose portable file. I click that next button. I need to locate where that file is. So whether it's in your documents, whether it's in your C drive, the only thing that you won't be able to do is if it's still in your downloads folder, you cannot have access to it. All right, it has to be in an actual folder, either on your desktop or on your documents. It can't be in your C drive, it can't be anywhere near that, and so on and so forth. So once you have that and you locate that file, right, we just already did the customizing. Now it's going to ask us where we want to open up or save the working data file. So when I clicked on next, I'm going to choose where I want to save this file. So that's exactly what I'm doing right now is I want to save it under my folder that I've created for this class, which is the AM QuickBooks January 31st. Right here, I can see that these are my pre-existing data files that I've already done in the past, in the last couple of days, right? So this folder is what I'm currently working on. And the file is called Customizing 21. So once I've located the folder that I want to save it in, okay, so again, whether you pre-made it or you want to save it to your desktop and create a folder, yes, you can do it whenever you'd like. As long as you do it either while you're saving it. So just exactly what I did, I can just right click on my folder and create a new folder at any given time. Okay, and then once I get here, right, I'm going to go ahead and click save. And what it's going to do is it's going to open up the file for me. Okay, depending on your internet and depending on how quick your computer is or how much space you have in your computer will determine how quickly your file will open. So the first thing it's going to say is you need to put in your password. Now notice this. This one looks different now. So at the very top here, right, we have admin. Okay, so this is where if you have created multiple users, they can, there's a little drop down menu here. So in this case, there's only one user, which is just the admin. But if you remember yesterday, we created an HR. This is where you can toggle between users, okay? You'll have it right here where it says username. It says right here admin. You would have the drop down menu and you would put in HR and you would put in your password and it will enter it in and you'd be looking at the human resources view of the QuickBooks file. But in this case, I am doing the admin, right? We know what the password is. It's capital QUESTIVA 21. Right? Cap locks are very sensitive, so it's very crucial that you do type in the password correctly. Okay. And it's going to ask you to update the file. You always want to say yes, okay, because you want to make sure that the file it is up to date. Okay. And we'll give it a couple minutes because it should be able to pop up afterwards. There you go. Now it says QuickBooks has successfully opened your company file. You click OK and everything should be loading from here. Okay. So again, if you are using the student version, you should be seeing this accountant's copy or this accountant center, excuse me. And there we go. You don't need it because we're focusing on everything else. So here you go. Here's the home page, the icon bar, and the menu bar. Okay. So now we will practice opening the company file again today with the chapter 4. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and continue on with chapter 7. So chapter 7 right here, we got QuickBooks preferences. Now, as you can see, there are 2 different types of QuickBooks preferences. There is the user preferences, which is also known as My Preferences, okay, is going to be whatever that the person who's logged into the computer's profile, okay? And then you have what's called the company preferences. Company preferences can only be set through the admin, okay? Only through the admin, and they can make executive changes that will affect the company file. So that means if another user decides to open up that file, that change will appear on their file as well because it's an overall company file change, but not on their side, right? On their side, if they want to have some user preferences that they want to have, then they would save it on their desktop, right? When they log in, it's going to be saved that way. But for me, our user preferences are going to be what we put on here. But company is the whole entire file itself, okay? So that's the difference between the 2 different preferences that exist here, right? User preferences, also known as My Preferences, and of course, company preferences, okay? So first thing we want to do is we want to take a look at how we can able to customize our user preferences. So one of the things that you can customize is going to be how the program looks for your for the program. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at user preferences for the desktop view. Okay, so in this case, I'm currently logged in as the admin. I'm going to go to the edit menu at the top, and I'm going to go ahead and proceed to click on preferences. Okay, so here, as we've seen this yesterday very briefly, If you guys remember, when we went through the Easy Step interview, what you were essentially doing was you were setting up company preferences, okay? Things that affect the overall company file. But for today, I want to show you what you can do at user preferences, okay? So as you see at the very top here, you got my preferences, which is user preferences, and then you have company preferences. So this is the difference when you want to make changes on the current profile that you're logged in. Use my preferences. But if you want to make a change on the overall company file, you use company preferences, okay? And the admin is the only one, once again, who can make changes to the company preferences, okay? So the first one we want to go look at is going to be desktop view. So here we are, desktop view, and I'm going to go ahead and click on my preferences. So here are a few things that you can, personalize on your own desktop when you log in. All right, the very first one is going to be how you view your windows or the screens that you see on the QuickBooks. So right now it is looking at multiple view. But what if I want to choose single view? What is the difference between single view and multiple view? Well, let's actually go ahead and take a different look, okay? So if I go ahead and select single view and click OK, what you're going to notice is that if I click somewhere else, let's say I click on the bill tracker, my screen will fill in full screen, and I can only see my bill tracker at one time, right? So if I want to go ahead and take a look at my home page, I would have to click on home page to view it. And then if so on and so forth. So if I want to look at let's go ahead and look at our vendor center, right? I can only look at it one time. Now, can I view the other screens? No, I can't. I actually have to physically either put them down or I would have to close them out manually. Now, be careful on choosing which areas to close, okay? So this one only allows me to view one screen at one time. So in this case, I can only exit it, okay? And here, I don't want my home page. I don't want my bill tracker. I can only view one screen at one time. Now, is it necessary that we have to go click on the other one to view it? Yes, it is 100% necessary. Now, of course, there's also ways around that. You can go down here, down below, where you see open windows and be able to select your home page and your, whatever you have, bill tracker, vendor center, and things like that. But in this case, it's not as efficient as you would think, right? So in this case, if you need to look at multiple windows at one time, then that would be a better preference for you. But in this case, if you're a very simple person and you can only keep track of one item at one time, then one window view would best operate for you. But in this case, I can only focus on one window and one transaction at one time. So if I want to enter a bill, I have to go through here. But what if I don't remember what my bill was? Or who I owe. So I would have to go either to my vendor center, okay, to be able to grab that information, and I can go to my open windows tab and click on bill, okay, and enter in all my information that way. But in this case, it's not as efficient because I cannot look at it one page at the same time. I can only look at one, okay? So that is one window view, okay? So let's go ahead and take a look at what the difference between that one and multi window view is, or in this case, yes, multiple windows. So I go ahead and click OK. What you're going to notice is now I'm able to see more than one screen at one time. So again, this could be, for me, it is definitely much more efficient in terms of working. But again, it's a preference that people like. If people, once again, can only focus on one screen at one time, then that's great. But notice this, when I do use multi-window view, it's not maximized. Okay, that's great, but you can always maximize it because you have the option right here. You can maximize to make it full screen if you need to. But then at the same time, so now that I maximized it, I'm still able to access the other ones at the same time. I would just have to choose to minimize it, move my windows around, and maybe I can do that, right? I could take a look at my vendor center, okay? Look at my vendors that I owe money to, and then I can say, okay, I remember now, it's from this person. So therefore, I can go ahead and locate my bill, okay, and enter it that way, all right? So that's using multiple window view, okay? Once again, it just really depends on how your preference is. Is this something that you prefer to do? It is definitely going to be more efficient in terms of, you know, getting the job done instead of having to look at one screen, then another screen, then another screen at just one time. But again, you can use the open windows tab to allow you to be able to go through each and every single window that you have open. Okay? Yes.
Ma'am, will there be a default on how many windows that can be open in the multiple view?
Absolutely not. You can have as many windows as you'd like. So when we'll talk about that in chapter 6, where you can do process multiple reports. You can have all 500 reports if you'd like.
Okay, thank you.
It's just the only problem is there's no option for you to select all the windows and close them out. You would have to select one at a time. So if you want to process all 500 reports, not 500, 150 reports, just know that you have to close them out one at a time. Or you could choose to exit the program and the program will close out every single thing if you need to. Okay? So that's that. No, there's no limited amount of windows you can have. Okay. So let's go back to the My Preferences desktop view. Okay, so we looked at this. Now by default, it is a multi-window view. Just because once again it is majority people would use the multiple view just so that again it is for more efficiency for multitaskers, of course. And yeah, you could view more than one information at one time. So again, with today's society, multitasking is preferred in a workplace. So if you can be able to do it, it would be most likely the best way to view your QuickBooks. Okay. Then we have the second part right here, this little this section here, where it says, do you want to save when closing the company? Do you want to save the current screen, or do you want to not save the screen? So what does this mean? So if I am currently, right, if I'm in the office and the computer that I'm using is a shared computer, meaning you're not the only person that uses that computer. Other people log in with their accounts and so on and so forth. If that is the reason, if that is something that you have in your company, you definitely do not want to save your screen. Okay? So then every time you open up the file, it's going to leave off from where you left off. Especially when you have multiple users using your computer, that is not very efficient at all in any means. And you also don't want to see what your other user was doing, right? Because then you have to close out their screens, and if they process multiple reports, you have to close out every single one of them. So in this case, if you are having a computer screen that's being shared, your best recommendation is to not save the desktop, okay? But, however, if you are the only person, the sole user of this computer, right? This is your only office. Nobody else has access to this computer. Then, yes, the most efficient way would be to save when closing. But the one criteria is you want to save the current desktop. So that means, let's say it is 4:55, right? And work ends at 5, and you're in the middle of a bill, entering a bill. What you can do is you can close QuickBooks, right? And then when you clock in or clock out, right, the next morning you clock in and you turn on QuickBooks, it's going to open up that bill that you left off on. Okay? So that's saving this current desktop. But, best recommendation is to just save the company file regardless every time you close the company file. So meaning if you're in the middle of a transaction or you're, in the middle of putting information in, when you do close out the company or just the program itself, it will automatically save. Okay, and we already know that because we talked about this in chapter 1. You don't need to manually save it unless you're making a copy or you're sending a portable file. But in this case, no, you can always have it saved automatically. But in this case, it's going to save it once again to ensure at the end when you close out your file. Okay, so that's that section right there. All right, then the next section is going to be showing the home page when you open up QuickBooks. This one is by default because that's usually, especially for, beginner users of QuickBooks, the home page is going to be your best friend because it is the list of every single transaction or at least the flow of the transaction. It doesn't list every single one, but it does give you a general idea of the flow of transaction. This is your go-to place to either enter in your transactions, enter in information, or even plugging in other information that you need necessary to do a transaction. So in this case, right, I have it selected as show the home page when opening QuickBooks. So that's why every single time I open up QuickBooks, you're going to notice the first thing that's going to pop up is, if you have the accountant's version, the Accountant Center, and then the home page. Okay? So that's because I have it set that way. Now, if you're an avid user of QuickBooks and don't necessarily need to use the home page, then you can go ahead and take this, you could check mark this off. So then every time you open up QuickBooks, right, you can have your last transaction that you just entered and so on and so forth. Okay. I will go ahead and talk about this last section or this switch to colored icons, okay? When we talk about customizing the icon bar, okay? We'll talk about that later just because this one is more relevant when you're customizing your icon bar and the way it looks on your screen, okay? And then the last section down below here is going to be Windows setting. So again, display and sounds. These connect directly to the actual operating computer. So if I go ahead and click display, it's going to automatically open up my Windows, not QuickBooks, my Windows setting. Okay, so right now I have the screen, right, at 150% just because, especially because I can't assume that everybody has, a big screen and everyone's using a small laptop that's 15 inches. You guys need to be able to see everything on my screen. So I have it displayed at 150%, okay? And so on and so forth. So this is your Windows operating settings, okay? So for display, it will access your Windows to be able to do that. And same thing with your sounds too. If you want sound effects to happen, you would have to, configure out what kind of sounds or settings that you want on your actual computer, not the program. Okay? So that's just what that section is. And then the very last one is company file color scheme. Now, before I'm gonna go ahead and ruin this for you guys, because in this case, this company file color scheme is good for when if you prefer to see a color instead of this standard boring navy blue color that you see here and this green color. But I'm going to tell you this. This is, to me, I believe, is the most useless thing you can do, because your only ability to change the color screen is just that navy blue bar. Okay? Everything else is going to stay the same. Now, what does that even mean? Well, let's go ahead and take a look, okay? Let's try it out, okay? So if this is my personal preferences. It's not my company file, right? That means every time I open up QuickBooks, I get to set it up the way that I want to see it. So if I want something like pink, right? Notice this. Everything stayed the same except for just the title bar. And that is the most you're going to get out of this color scheme. Now, of course, that is, like I've mentioned, the most useless thing in the world, because that's all you're limited to. You can't change the color scheme of this green bar here. You can't even change the color scheme of your icon bar. And every single title thing right here, everything's going to look standard. Everything's going to look the same. The only difference here is you only have this part that's colored. And to me, pointless, okay? But again, if it's a preference that you like, maybe that one little color, it can, make you a little happy, great, go ahead and do it. But in this case, it's useless to me, right? But yes, you can do that, or you can have the standard color. You don't have to choose one, so you could choose default, which is that navy blue, boring navy blue. But that's it. That's all the color schemes that you could do. So again, if you are a company that has or expresses company colors, so I know a lot of companies use red and white, or a lot of use blue and white, yellow, things like that, right? Then go ahead and set this up as a company preference, so that when you do have a overall company file, that means they can view it and see it with the colors of the company. But in this case, like I've mentioned before, it's not the most, wow factor, I would say, in regards to customizing your QuickBooks. Okay? But I'll go ahead and put purple and blue, because I'll just go ahead and customize it that way. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and click OK. All right, so even if I want to enter in a bill, everything looks the same. The only difference is the title bar at the top is purple blue, okay? Your bill and everything is going to look the same. It's going to be that same blue color, and so on and so forth, okay? So that's customizing desktop view for the user preferences. Any questions? Okay. All right. So now that we just looked at customizing the company appearance, okay. Now let's go ahead and talk about customizing the I believe it's going to be the menus. Okay. So once again, when we are looking to customizing the menu bar, here's something that you need to know. Okay? Let's take a look at the menu bar. The menu bar is this gray or this, I don't know, white color thing that has pretty much list of, categories, right? So the first category is your file, right, which is your standard operation. So whether you need to open a file, close a file. Okay, view is to show you things. Your list gives you the list of lists. Your customers give you a list of all the transactions that you could deal with the customer, and so on and so forth. Okay, customers, vendors, employees. Okay. Now, what I'm going to tell you here is you cannot absolutely change anything that's on the menu bar. Okay, because what the menu bar really does is it lists out every single transaction that you can think of in QuickBooks. Okay, and in this case, right, I can't just pick and remove what I don't want to see. It doesn't work that way because it's a program, right? This ensures that you have the capabilities to view every single transaction that is in QuickBooks. Okay, so in this case, you cannot customize the menu bar. However, the only thing that you can customize is going to be called the favorites menu. Okay, so here, as you can see here, is the favorites menu. This is going to be one of those menus that you can create to help you save some time. All right, now in this case, I also think this is also very useless as well too, because how, it's not going to be as difficult if I just go ahead and click on every single view and just look up what I want to do, right? But in this case, it could be a lot more easier, especially for someone who doesn't want to have to go through company and then have to go through this and then have to go through that, right? It will save you a bunch of time, right? But if the favorites menu is going to be consisting of a lot of things that you already have that are nearby, it is very useless to you, right? So let's talk about how I can even display the favorites menu in the first place. So you do need to actually go to view, okay? And right now I have the favorites menu checked off. Now if I don't have that, right, and I have it unchecked marked, now my favorites menu disappeared. Okay? Again, favorites menu is optional. Okay? But if I do want to have it on, I just click on view and I have the favorites menu right here. Okay? So there you go. Here's my favorites menu. Now, how do I customize that favorites menu? Straightforward. You have to just go to favorites and then you click on customize. Okay? So once you get to that little window right there, you customize your favorites. That's the only way that you can customize your favorites menu is going to the favorites menu, clicking customize. Okay? Now, once you do that, it's going to give you a list of all the transactions according to all the menus, okay? So again, if you remember, file was the very first menu or list is going to be your next menu here, right? And then, let's see, here is your company, okay? And so here is your, so you have company. So this is everything that's listed under company, okay? And then you have your accountant, and then you have your customers. So in this case, what this is, it's a list of every single transaction that is in your menu bar, just so that you can make it easier for you to locate something and add it to your favorites menu. So in this case, let's go ahead and let's go through it. What do I want to have on my favorites menu? Well, the chart of accounts would be nice. So I'll add that, okay? So that's what you do. You gotta select which one you want. You're gonna click on add, and it will pop it into your list right here. So I have that. Let's see, what else should I put on here? I really want a calendar, so let's see. Let's take a look and try to locate where my calendar is. So under company, here you go. I got a calendar. That would be useful. Okay. What else? I could do company snapshots. Home page would be nice. Okay. Let's see, what else do I want? And I probably want to ask the accountant. So again, that should be under the help menu, which is the last menu on the list. So let me see. Here you go. That's app add. Let's see. Ask Intuit would be a nice one, okay? Now, here I'm building my list right here, okay? Like I've mentioned before, that's the list that you're going to be creating. Now, let's say I want it in a specific order. I want it so then when I open up my favorites menu, it's in a specific order and that I actually like to have it in. So in this case, maybe I want to have Ask Intuit to be at the very top of my page or of top of my favorites menu. So I have this move up and move down button. So in this case, I need to select Ask Intuit and I want it to move it up. So right now it's above my home page, but I want it at the very top of my list, okay? And then maybe the second thing I want is my chart of accounts. My calendar. And then after that, maybe I want company snapshots so then I can kind of view how my company's doing. And then maybe I'll put chart of accounts below my home page, okay? Once you've created this, and this is exactly how you like it, I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So once you've done that, now let's go ahead and take a look at that favorites menu. And now I have those exact 5 that I selected, okay? And here's the cool part. You can always keep adding and adding and adding to this list. Now, like I've mentioned before, Ask Intuit's probably a good one because that way you don't have to go to help and then locate Ask Intuit, right? But let's see other ones. So here on my favorites list, I have a calendar. Down below, I also have a calendar, okay? On my icon bar, my company snapshots, that's a good one. Home page, I have it right here. My chart of accounts, I can simply just go over one more and my chart of accounts is right there. Okay. So again, as far as functionality, it only works best for you if you put in transactions or things that aren't easily readily accessible. So for example, Ask Intuit is a pretty good one, or company snapshots are pretty good. But you could also, for company snapshots, you could just go to company and you got company snapshots right there. Okay. So, like I said, as part of, functionality, it's only useful to you if it is something that you prefer instead of having to go through this and search for it. And it's a frequent one that you do use, so it's a common transaction that you like to use all the time. Then you can go ahead and create your favorites menu to eliminate having to look for that specific transaction, right? Any questions there?
No.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay. So now that we went over the menu bar, right, the only thing that you can customize is just the favorites menu, okay? Only thing that you can do. Everything else, you cannot customize the menu bar, okay? So let's go ahead and dive into customizing the icon bar, okay? So this one you can actually do a lot here. Now, if you remember from chapter 1, what does the icon bar actually do? In this case, as you can see, right, it just takes you to centers or it takes you into an area. And then when you're in that area, that's where you can go ahead and do your transactions. You cannot set up or create quick links to those transactions. So for example, I cannot put enter a bill into my icon bar. The icon bar are just a shortcut to get to certain centers. So again, an example will be the home page, right? The home page isn't me entering a transaction. It's a way for me to see this so that I can enter in a transaction, okay? And if you take a look at your your list of icons here, you got your bill tracker, your income tracker, you got your calendar, you got your bank account. We'll talk about bank feeds in a bit, or in chapter 5, okay? And then if you keep scrolling down, you have pretty much, you got customer center, you got the vendor center, okay? But again, once again, these are shortcuts to get to the centers, okay? Now, let's take a look at this. Now, if you are kind of, looking into maximizing your workspace, yes, this right here takes up a pretty big chunk of your screen. We understand if you look at on a, on a grander scale, it takes up about almost a quarter, or, a little less than a quarter of the screen. That's a lot for my workspace. So what you can do is, if you go up to this very top here, if you see this little arrow bar right here, you can collapse it, okay, to maximize your visibility on your own windows, okay? And when you need it again, you can also uncollapse it by clicking that arrow. Now, if the icon bar is something that you absolutely do not need at all, then you could even get rid of the icon bar. If you go to view on the menu, you can choose to hide the menu bar. So there you go. Now my icon bar doesn't exist, and I have maximum visibility of my screen. Okay, so that's one that you can customize. So the icon bar is not necessary, but it is definitely a way that you can enter a transaction, right? We talked about navigating QuickBooks. There are really 3 ways that you can navigate QuickBooks, and that is the home page, icon bar, and menu bar. Okay, so in this case, I will be teaching you to keep the icon bar, but it is not necessary if you do not need to have it. Okay. So then let's take a look here. When I go to view, I have 2 options. I either have it left view, or I can have it at the top of my menu. So notice this. It's smaller, concise, and it's at the top of my menu. Okay. So this is where I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about that one preference, right? That one company preference. And I actually think this is pretty cool. This is probably one of the features that I actually like. So if you go to desktop view once again, and you go to my preferences, you're going to have this switch to colored icon bar light background at the top of the window. So if I go ahead and click this, watch this. It changes the color of my icon bar to be a white background with colored icons. And this one makes it, unique. It makes things, live. Okay? So that's cool. That's cool about that too. I really like this feature here. However, if you decide to go to view and say, I don't like it at the top anymore, and go straight to the left align, boom, it goes right back to its standard colors. Okay, so once again, really into it, you couldn't like keep the colored icons on the left side. There's also other ways that you could do. Even if your computer is inverted colors, QuickBooks will still be the same. It will not change the view of the program, because that is a setting that you have to do internally, and QuickBooks does not allow you to do that. So those are the only options that you can do as far as view-wise. Now let's go ahead and take a look back at that view when you have the icon bar at the top. So here, my first one I have is home, my company. I got the bill tracker, calendar, right? Customers center and vendor center. Now, if you have it at the top, I also think this is also kind of pointless as well, because if you need to get to your customer center that's right here, is it really that far of a stretch to click on customers and hit customer center right here? So again, it is to me not the best way to put your icon bar. It does help you save a little space, but what you can do is you can customize your icon bar to display things that aren't readily available on your screen. And that's what I'm going to show you what to do. So doesn't matter what kind of view that you have it on, but I do prefer to just show it to you because in this case, the icon bar will always be left aligned for the rest of this class. You can choose to customize the icon bar by two ways, okay? You can go to View, and you have the ability to customize the icon bar right there on View, okay? That's just way number one. The easiest and simplest way is click anywhere, right click anywhere on the icon bar. So I'm going to right click anywhere, right? And you can customize it, okay? So since I'm already here, I'm just going to right click on it to customize my icon bar. Okay, once you do that, you're going to get this window here to customize your icon bar. So what do you want to display and what do you want to see? So in this case, right, I have all the things I'm looking at right now. Okay, now let's say, so your book says let's add a calculator. So I can go ahead and click add. Okay. Now it's going to give you a list of everything that you can see available in alphabetical order. So you don't need to look very far, or if in case you want to go through it. But in this case, you're very limited on the selected centers or shortcuts that you can do. So it's like I mentioned before, right? You technically cannot put in transactions in here, but you can put in shortcuts to lead up to that transaction. So again, let's take a look here. They want you to add in, we can do calculator, okay? I want to add in a calculator. And here's what's actually really cool too. You can choose the icon you want to have as well for a calculator. So you have 5 options or 6 options. I'm just going to choose the actual calculator icon. It makes the most sense. And then this is what you want to display. You could say calc, right? I actually want this to say calculator. Okay? You can make it add and plus buttons. I don't know. You make it creative, whatever you want to do. But this is the calculator, right? And of course, your description, right? When you roll your mouse on there, what is it going to say? It's just going to say it's a calculator. Okay? And then I'm going to click OK. Once you click OK, so now it adds your calculator, right? But it adds it at the very end of your list. And that's not what you want to do. So the same thing like we did for our accounts, this little black triangle, right, or diamond right here, right next to it, if you put your mouse on it, your mouse becomes a plus sign. And what you could do is you could click and you can drag wherever you want to put that. So I want to put that right underneath my home page because I want it to be the second thing that I see on there. Okay, I may even want my calendar to be the third thing. Okay, my company, if you don't need anything that's on there, you can feel free to delete. So in this case, do I need my company? I can go ahead and delete that. Okay, you can even add space. So right here, if I want a space between my home page so that it kind of gives me like a section off. If you notice what you're doing on here, it is actually going to reflect it on your actual current screen as well. But in this case, I don't have the top part viewed. So in this case, there you go. I'm going to have home page, okay, and then I have the calculator, the calendar, and then Yes, so I'll just make those changes there. So you can click and hold and drag them up and down however you'd like it. You can add an icon or you can delete it. Okay. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom and click OK. So, like I've mentioned before, my icon bar, home is at the top. And if I go, next one is a calculator. See, it just says my description is a calculator. Okay. The next one's calendar. And then the rest is so on and so forth. So that's how you can customize your icon bar with whatever you want to add here. So in this case, if I put this at the top of the window, at least I know these icons aren't easily accessible, right? Because they're at the top of the menu, right? So in this case, I would choose icons that, like again, that you don't normally see anywhere else, okay? Now, that's not the only thing you can do to customizing your icon bar. You can even go as far as entering things like screenshots or even reports onto your icon bar. Okay? How do I do that? Well, that's pretty straightforward. What we can do is we can go ahead and create a report. So let's say I want to create an icon for me to be able to see my customer balance information. Well, let's go ahead and create that first, and I'll show you how you can put it onto your icon bar. So first things first is you're going to go to reports, okay? And we'll talk more about what you can do in reports in every single chapter, because every single chapter is going to give you a set of what you can do, except for this chapter. So then again, if you want to create a report, so in this case, I want to go to reports. We're going to go to list, and we're going to do phone contact list. So let's go look for list. Okay, and what do I want to get from here? Oh, list. Okay, I want to have customer contact information. Do I want my phone number or contact? In this case, we want contact. Or in this case, I guess I can do phone if it makes sense to use phone, so I can call them for any reason that their account balances, I can view it automatically right then and there. Okay, so again, I'm gonna do my customer contact phone. Let's do phone list. Actually, I'm like debating. Let's do contact contact list. Okay. So here, as you can see, gives you your list of your customers, gives them their address, gives them the phone number, and so on and so forth. And it also includes account balances, okay? So what I want to do here is if you want to choose to modify or change this, right? We'll talk about more about that in chapter 6. Actually, you know what? That's too much information. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the customer phone list. Okay. So customer phone list. Okay. So here you go. I have a view of their phone number. And if I want to customize it with their account balances, I can do so. We'll talk more about this in chapter 5 or 6 once again. So I want to include balances, so I click OK. So there you go. I have their customer name, their balance information on how much they owe me, and I have the immediate contact for their phone number. So what I'm going to do is once I have this displayed, I am going to go to my view menu, okay? And then it's going to say add customer phone list to icon bar. So you need to create the report first. And then when you're looking at that or currently looking at that, that's where you can go ahead and click on view. And I'm going to go ahead and add the customer phone list to my icon bar. So once again, you're going to get this one and it's going to say, if you want to name it customer phone list. No, I'm going to call this customer balance info. Okay? And what kind of icon do you want to use it? I like maybe this one. Okay? So now that I selected it, it is going to appear right here, customer balance info. Okay? And if I click on it, it's going to show this exact report. Okay? So that's what's really cool about this is that you could put those kind of quick links on there to make it that much more easier for your icon bar. Okay? Any questions in regards to customizing your icon bar? Yes.
Ma'am, can you please show us again how you had an icon for the customer balance list?
Sure. So here's my report, right? I have to go create the report first, and we'll talk more about that in chapter, throughout the rest of this class. So reports. So right now, I just want to put my customer contact information with the balance information. So I already did that.
I got that far.
Okay. So now that I've already got that, right? So here it's displaying right here, right? So what I want to do is I want to go to view and I want to add this customer phone list onto my icon bar.
Yeah.
Okay. Once I do that, it's going to show me, well, what do I want to name this? In this case, right, that's where I changed it. And I can choose what icon I want it to have.
Oh, I see.
And then I press enter, so then it goes okay. But I'm going to cancel because I already have it on there. And it displays it right here at the bottom. Now, of course, if you remember how I can show that, if I don't want it at the bottom, I click customize the icon bar, and I can click and drag this, so then I can have it either at the bottom or at the top.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, you go to view, and you go add this file onto the icon bar.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the window will show you which icon you can choose.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Correct. Excuse me. Okay. So that is customizing the icon bar. Anybody has any other questions? Okay.
No, not me.
So I showed you how to customize the menu bar, and I showed you how to customize the icon bar. Now, how do I customize the home page? Well, this is something. Okay, so again, this is something, right, that you would know over time. Okay, it isn't something that you could just go ahead and do. Now, as far as my home page, right? Let me just go quick link here. Home page. So here, how do I customize my home page? Well, if you guys remember yesterday, I did mention how you can customize your home page, right? By answering the preferences through your company file. So that's the only way you're able to customize the home page is by answering yes or no. So as we mentioned before, right now, this is what my home page looks like. Well, I could do the very basics or very, very simplistic view, right? If I go to my edit preferences and I go to display view and go to company, right? I can choose that I don't want sales receipts to appear. I could choose statements to not appear. And I'm going to click OK. All right, that's going to ask you, okay. And then the next time you open up your home page, check this out. I don't have statements anymore. I don't have sales receipts anymore. Okay. that one is the basic one that you can, that's that as far as customizing, that's the one that you can visually see, okay? So I'm going to turn those back on real quick. So again, notice right here is supposed to be your statements. Right here is supposed to be your sales receipts, okay? And we'll talk about what those are later on in chapter 2. But let's go ahead and put those back in there, okay? So again, those icons that we have here on the home page, right? So here it is, statements, sales receipts. That's as far as what the book tells you. But actually, when you are actually customizing your home page, you're actually doing that through the Easy Step interview and also by setting up your preferences, okay? So the Easy Step interview, if you guys remember yesterday, every time we were asked a specific question, it created an icon onto our homepage. So, do we keep track of bills? Yes, we do. It is right here. Enter bills. Do we keep track of time? Yes, we do. So that's why you have enter time. Do you have employees? Yes, you do. So that's why you have the pay employees icon. Do you charge sales tax? Yes, I do. So that's why you have the manage sales tax up here. Okay? So every question that you answered through the Easy Step interview is essentially you customizing your homepage. Now, can I toggle between that and also, customize my homepage the same way? Yes, because some of those things, right, that we answered on there were just basic information. But what if one day I'm like, no, I decide I'm not going to keep track of time. I don't want any employees because I rather have 1099 workers. Much more easier. Okay? Then you can just simply go here and you go to your preferences. So we want to keep track of time. So if I go to enter, so I go to time and expenses, and I go click on company. Do I keep track of time? If I select no and I click OK, what you're going to see here on the home page is you no longer have keeping track of time. Okay? What about inventory? Since I selected I keep track of inventory, that is the reason why I have this line up here. But if I go ahead and go to inventory and items, okay, or items and inventory, and I select I do not keep track of inventory and click OK, let's notice this. My whole entire section at my home page under my vendor section, I no longer have inventory. So that is the two ways that you can customize your homepage is one, going through the Easy Step interview, obviously answering the questions yes or no. Okay? But if you need to fix those or, edit the information, you're going to go to edit preferences. All right? And that will be the way that you can customize your homepage. All right? Any questions there?
No.
Okay. So the last section I'm going to talk about is going to be lists. Now, back then, chapter 7 was actually a lot longer than this. But the first list I do want to make sure that you do see is going to be here, let's take a look. So if I go to lists on my menu bar, right? The first list that you see there is your chart of accounts. We've already took a look at our chart of accounts, right? We did that yesterday, all right? So the most important thing about lists here is that it does help you set up and prepare for your business, all right? The next one is going to be items list. Items list, we'll take a look in chapter 8. But what does items list actually do? Items list allow you to create your products, your services, your taxes. It helps you set up the process to be able to sell a product or service. Have your shipping taxes, your discounts, anything that has to do with a sale is going to be created under your items list. So let's go ahead, since that's going to be a chapter 8 thing, let's just go really briefly overview of it. So in this case, right, I sell indoor and outdoor photo sessions. I have photographers. I sell picture frames. Okay. So this is once again your sales process, right? I even have out-of-state charging tax. Okay. So this we take a look into chapter 8 on how to create an item. But once again, you will see these items, especially when we dive into chapter 4, which is not yet today, but we'll take a look at it tomorrow, on why it is important for us to have items, okay? Because it's connected to everything that we do. We gotta purchase our items and products, right? We have to sell the products, and then we have to acquire them as inventory. So in this case, items are very important to QuickBooks, especially if you're in the business of selling a product or service. Okay? So then lists, okay? So the next one is going to be fixed asset list. Okay, so this one is going to be, we'll take a look into chapter 14, where in this case, right, when we purchase fixed assets, so anything that is a property, plant, or equipment. Property being land, streets, sidewalks, front yard, parking lot. That's going to be considered property. Your plant is going to be your building and everything inside your building. So your furniture, your desk, your lamps, your refrigerators, okay? Well, I mean, refrigerator is also considered an equipment. An equipment would be something like I mentioned, a refrigerator, a microwave, right? A copy machine, okay? Anything that helps you to produce or to help you operate your business, okay? So this one we talk about more in depth in chapter 14, where every time we purchase a fixed asset, you're going to plug it in here because you purchased the fixed asset, so therefore you need to keep record of it. All right. Next one is going to be price level lists. Now, price level list is more or less going to be if you have specific customers that you charge a specific price to. Okay. So I'm not going to go over this. It's in your book. Okay. Just because, you know, I have to go dive into chapter 4 soon. But I'm going to just give you an overview. You can do the exercise on your own if you'd like, but price levels are only relevant to you if you are choosing to have select group of customers. So for example, right, since we are a photography type of service, right, or set type of company, I can choose to charge my commercial, my corporations, people who want us to do a photo shoot. Like, for example, I want you to take a photo shoot at the Met Gala. That is a pretty big project. That is a huge project that is commercial. That means people got the money to pay us. So therefore, you're going to charge them the highest rate that you can get. Now, do you think you can do that to a local couple who just wants you to take a little wedding photo shoot for them? No. If they're just a standard residential type of customer, you're not going to charge them $1,000 just to take a picture of them, right? You're going to charge them significantly less. And that's what price levels does. It allows you to separate your group of customers into specific sections and charge them based on a criteria. Now, price levels, you can use two options. You can either mark it up the price by percentage, Or you can actually just straight away just put in saying my commercial customers, they're going to get charged an additional $50, while my regular customers, they get the standard price. Okay? And that's what the price levels does, is it just separates your customers and put them in boxes so you can charge them specific prices. Okay? So again, you can read more about that in this chapter, okay? Billing rates level, this is going to be, once again, if you are the person that's being billed, are you going to be charging yourself as a company, right? Because you're being billed. Are you going to be a regular consumer? Are you a business? Because, we talked about how some businesses can tax exempt you. And that's just that part right there. Very small. Sales tax codes. We will talk about sales tax codes more predominantly in chapter 3, when we actually talk about how we collect the sales tax and so on and so forth. Today, I'm not going to spend the day to do that, just because it just makes sense when we talk about sales in chapter 2 and chapter 3. Why not create the sales tax code there? Now, what is a sales tax code? Well, a sales tax code could be any means. So, for example, if you're a grocery store, right? There are specific items that are being taxed, right? Alcohol is a specific tax. Food is a specific tax. And then everything that's a non-food item, or like a non-perishable good, or a product or something like that, you charge tax, right? That is a sales tax code. It gives you codes to allow you to either tax an item or not. Okay? So in this case, we are a service type company. So therefore, we don't charge tax for services, right? Services is based on an hourly rate. It's commission based, or whatever you want to view it as. It is not something you can tax. Okay? But if you sell a product, you are 100% or most likely going to be taxing your customers, okay? Other things is NFP. NFP is for nonprofits. Nonprofit organizations, they get tax exempt. Government officials, so anybody that serves in the military, they get a discounted tax rate. They're not tax exempt, they just get discounted tax rate, okay? And again, so on and so forth, right? So those are examples of what you could do here. Now, do I need to create a sales tax code? These ones, they already make it for you, but it's straightforward in regards to very, very easy, straightforward, right? In this case, if we remember yesterday how we entered in a account, this is the same exact way. You're going to go down to the bottom where it says sales tax code. You're going to click on that. You're going to click new. And you're going to fill in whatever information you need to fill in. And click OK. It is not very hard. If you can do one, which is yesterday, right? We entered in an account, we filled in the information and pressed OK. That's the same exact idea here. And that's what QuickBooks does, is it makes it kind of universal, so then if you know how to enter in an account, you know how to enter in a list, an item, a sales tax code, anything else is going to be similar. You can even right-click anywhere on the list and click new. All right? So that's sales tax codes there. Next one is going to be payroll items list. This is going to be more for chapter 10. Okay, and then class list. We'll talk more about classes in chapter 4. Okay, so which is the next one. Okay, other names list. So if we have people who you buy from, which is your vendors, if we have people that you sell to, which is your customers, and you have people who work for you, which are your employees. If a person does not fit in any of those criterias, then they're going to be popped onto the other names list. So a great example of an other names list, which we will take a look in chapter 9, is going to be the boss, the CEO, someone who doesn't work for your company, right? The person, if you own the company, you don't work for the company, okay? You cannot be put under the payroll unless you're a corporation, okay? But again, corporation, you don't own the company, everybody owns the company, okay? So that's just a little thing right there. And we'll talk more about that again in chapter 9. Customers and vendors. So if I look at these lists, right, you got other ones such as sales rep. So if you want to have a sales representative, you can. A customer type, vendor type, job type. So again, these ones are more or so for categorizing your vendors, your customers, and so on and so forth, and even job types. Now, one thing I do want to do is let's go ahead and take a look at what terms are. Okay? There are 2 types of terms, but I'm going to go ahead and explain what terms are in general. Terms is going to be the incentive, okay, to either give discounts if you have a certain criteria or a certain condition, right? You must meet it. So for example, first one says 1%, 10, net 30. What does that even mean? This means I will give you a 1% discount on your entire sales if you pay within 10 days. If not, you don't get the discount, but the bill is due in 30 days. Okay? So what does this mean technically? If you're looking at a vendor's point or even a customer as a customer's point, right? This is a way, an incentive to receive the money that you're being owed on an account quicker. Okay? So this is an opportunity that you offer to either your customers or even your vendors can offer you as a purchaser, right? Because you're the customer. You can take advantage of these because, again, the idea is that if you're placing it on an account, right, because you have 30 days to pay me back, I let you owe me an account. But if you pay me within 10 days, I'll grant you 1% discount on your entire sales. That is the best way that you're able to get your money a lot quicker, especially if you have it on an account. And we'll talk about, well, what if a person doesn't want to pay? Well, then they lose that opportunity. But second of all, you're going to be in trouble because you trusted your customer to owe you money and they say, I don't want to pay you. Well, truth is, the reality, there are people who are like that. Okay? So in this case, that's what terms does. Terms gives incentives to customers to pay quicker when they owe you money, okay? Now this works, like I mentioned, for if I'm the company that's selling a product to a customer, I can use this, okay? If I purchase from a vendor can give me terms, right, to tell me, hey, you could take a 1% discount if you pay me in 10 days. So then that motivates us as a company to want to pay that because we're buying in bulk. So maybe that 1% could make the huge difference. So in this case, let's go ahead and take a look at an example. Okay? Same thing like I mentioned before. It's straightforward. Since this is your terms list, I'm going to go ahead and go down to the bottom, click terms, and click new. So now I mentioned earlier, right, there are 2 types of terms. A regular term, and then you have what's called a standard and date driven. Okay? Let's talk about standard first. Standard tells me that I am going to give them, based on receiving the bill, I'm going to give them a time frame. Okay? So in this case, right, I could say, I believe this one was 2%, 10, net 30, right? In this case, I could say, well, this is a standard one because I'm going to give them a time frame based on receiving a bill. So I'm going to say my net due is going to be in 30 days. So that means if they miss the discount due date, then they still have to owe me the full amount in 30 days. Okay. And then it says the discount percentage is going to be 2%. Okay. And then the next one is going to be the discount period is going to be within 10 days. Okay. So by me filling this out, when I bill my customer, that means it's going to keep track of when my stuff is due. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So that means if this name is already in use. Okay, so that got to change it. So then let's do 15 then. Okay, so 2%. Okay, so 15. All right, and click OK. So here you go. I got 2%, 15, net 30. Okay, so this is where I could say if I'm going to sell a product to my customer, I can give them terms. So, for example, right? Let's go ahead and enter in a bill, okay? Because that's where you can actually see where these terms are. Or actually, not enter a bill. Let's do invoice, okay? So if I go into an invoice, right? I have everything here, and then here you go. I have terms. So I can set up terms for each customer. So if I put in a customer's name in here and I say, you know what? I'll give you an opportunity to take advantage if you could give me 2% if you pay me within 15 days. If not, this entire bill is due in 30 days. So once again, these are terms that you can give to customers, okay? And you can also receive terms from vendors. Okay? And it's just another opportunity to get money. Okay? All right. Now, let's take a look at what a date-driven term is, because this one is actually going to be pretty straightforward, right? So let me see. We are at customers, and we're going to terms list. Okay. So in this case, right, we're going to be taking a look at date-driven terms. Okay. Now, what is a date-driven term? Well, here's a great example of a date-driven term. Well, if you have a monthly bill, right? So rent is always due on the 5th of the month. This is what a date-driven does, meaning that you are going to create something that's due on a specific date of the specific month. So again, if you are having subscriptions, right? Well, when is your subscription due? It's due at the first of every single month. That's exactly what this is right here. But in this case, I can also give a date-driven type of term where I can say I'm going to give the person 1% if they can pay on the 5th. If it's not, it could be due on the 10th. Okay? So if they pay on the 5th of the month, they will receive the discount. But if not, the bill is due on the 10th of the month. Okay? So that's where you got to fill in the information. Net due before the 10th of the month. Okay? Due the next month, issued within date due. Hold on. Net due. Date due the next month. It is if issued within 30 days. Okay? And then discount is calculated to be 1%. And then discount if paid before the 5th of the month. Okay? So in this case, that is how I create a date-driven term. Invalid character. What is it? Oh, okay, this one, sorry. 5th.
No, the book says due the next month if issued within 10 days of the due date.
Oh, okay, that's fine. It doesn't have to be exact to your book, and also on top of that, your copy of the book is going to be different from my copy of the book because they decided to make a whole bunch of different copies because they kept revising. So a lot of the information that you see in your book and my book are going to be completely different. But in this case, that's okay. They don't have to be the same as long as you kind of understand the concept. So in this case,
Okay.
if it's 30 days, if it's 10 days, it doesn't matter at the end of the day because it's just saying, okay, I'll put 10 if you needed to, right? Okay, because at the end of the day, the information that you put into QuickBooks is going to be more or less the same concept, the same idea. You don't necessarily need to go through your book 100%. You can to do practice purposes so that you kind of understand. But in this case, if I'm making up this whole entire thing, at least I understand the concept. Right? And that's what I encourage you to do as well as when you do go do this on your own, create your own company and see and try to use that as an example to exercise what we learned in class. Okay? All right. Last concept that we have is going to be customizing templates. Okay. So any questions in regards to those kind of lists? Okay.
No.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay. So let's go to the very last one, which is going to be templates. Customizing templates. Okay. In here, when we're looking at customizing templates, this is where you can customize and personalize your own sales form, right? You can, especially when you're marketing yourself as your own, like, individual company, right? You want to be recognized. You want to build your brand. How do you do that? Well, let's take a look at an example here. If I were to just do a regular pre-made, let's say so Intuit. Let's see, Intuit. Let's do an Intuit product invoice. If I were to click this, this is the standard form that they give me. If I send this out to my customers, will my customers recognize me? This is a very boring invoice. Yes, it gets the job done, but is there any means that this invoice is going to tell you that this is from your company? No. What makes your company unique is based on building your brand, building your logo, right? Your company logo is the most important thing. Putting your company colors makes you stand out versus this. This is very boring. This is very blank. If I saw this, I would be just like, okay, it's just another company, right? You want to make your company unique by putting in a lot of things, right? Making sure that you fill and make sure that you make the customers recognize who you are by putting in a company logo, your company name, putting it in a unique font, okay? Putting your colors once again. So that's what you can do here. So how did I get to this place? So if I go to list, okay, it's going to be under templates, okay? When I click on templates, this is what I can customize. I can customize invoices, sales receipts, credit memos, okay, statements, customer statements. I can even do purchase orders, okay, and estimates and so on and so forth. Now, this one's more geared towards my sales, okay? There are 3 things you cannot customize, okay? You cannot customize a bill. Why? Because you're receiving it from another company. How can you customize that bill for? What necessarily reasons do you need to customize a bill? You don't, because you're receiving it from someone else. Okay? Second one is you cannot memorize a check. Right? Yes, you can customize your check, but obviously that is going to be going through your bank account, not you yourself. You can't create your own. You can send the bank account your logo and say, "Hey, I want my checkbooks to have my company logo on it." The bank will do that. Because the dangerous things about you creating your own check is you can miss very crucial information that can hurt your company overall. You might miss the date, you might miss the pay person, you might even miss the check number. Okay? You cannot do that either, because second thing too is these checks are pre-made already. They come on a special piece of paper that you cannot just print on a regular piece of paper. Okay? These checks are already going to be made the way they are. Okay? And I believe the last one is going to be, let's see. Okay, it's somewhere in your book. I can't remember the top of my head, but that's going to be one of those things that you cannot customize. But again, the main two is your bill payments. You cannot customize your bill payments, right? So in this case, right, you cannot customize the form that you're going to write your bill to, because at the end of the day, you're sending the check out, you're paying the bill. That has nothing to do. You can't customize that. Okay, so those are the three things that you cannot customize. However, you can customize an invoice, because again, you want to make your invoice really pretty, make it real recognizable. So now what you can do is you have two options, right? You can create your own template, of course. So here, if I go ahead and go down to the bottom, standard as usual, right? We know that by going down to the bottom and clicking on new, you can create up to these different ones. So do you want to create an invoice? You want to create a sales receipt, credit memo? You can do a statement. In this case, let's do an invoice, okay? Now, once you do that, this is where it comes into play, and it's like, well, it gives you a standard layout of what this should typically look at. You can use what's called the layout manager or the layout designer. Okay, that is an option that you can do. So if you go to additional customization, this is where you can add other stuff and even customize its layout in general. Okay, so here, layout designer. Okay, if you click this, right, you can actually say, well, I don't want my customer's information. I don't want my company's information right there. I want to move it to the right. I want to move this up, okay? You can do that with this, okay? Layout designer. Now, is it recommended? I'm going to tell you no. I mean, yes, you want to customize your invoice or sales receipt the way that you want it to look, but at the end of the day, it's not necessary. What you can do, the quickest way to do, and what your book recommends you to do, is just go ahead and use an already pre-existing template. That way, when you do create or use the layout manager, right, you don't actually forget information that could potentially have your customers laugh, right? You could accidentally forget to add the amount due. You can forget the amount, the description for each product that you sold. You can forget a lot of crucial information. So what they really do recommend you to do is to take a pre-existing template that already exists. So in this case, they want you to use the custom Intuit sales service form. So they want you to use this one. Okay, and what I'm gonna do here is I can either right click and create a duplicate. Oh no, in this case, sorry, you have to click on it, and down below, you are gonna make a duplicate. Okay, create duplicate. Okay, and again, it's gonna be an invoice. And now that you have it up here, right, the duplicate is up here, copy of this invoice. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and edit this template. Okay, so right click, edit, or down below, edit template. And this is where, right, it looks just like this. And this is where it can make it easier for you to just go ahead and customize it this way by adding a company logo, right? If you go ahead and use a logo, if you go into your files here, you should have a copy of this logo. It says right here, logo. So we'll click OK. So that's the logo. It's a camera, right, for our photography camera. You can even select colors. So if you want to change fonts, so I want to change the font of my company name, right? I can go ahead and click change font, and right here it will give me a little option to choose my font, what my font would look like. So again, maybe I'll choose a fun one. Maybe we could go for this one. Nope, that's probably not. Yeah, we can go for that one. And no, let's choose this one. A little more easier to see. You can choose the sizing on it, okay, and what kind of style you want it. So if I want it regular, you can. In this case, I want it to be the biggest thing, so I'll make it size 18. Okay, and I can even choose the color, what color I want it. So in this case, my company is red. Okay. And I can go ahead and click OK here. And what you're going to see here is it's going to change it right here. Now, obviously, this displays it the way that you should see it. So again, if this is not what you want it to display, you can go to the customize or the layout designer to kind of fix that. So that's what you can do here. You can even change and add things such as I want to add my company phone number. Okay, I can even add so if I go phone number, it's going to add it right down to the bottom. If I want the email address, it's going to add it to the bottom. Okay, okay. All right, and then I want to add an email. I'm going to click OK. So now you see down here, here's my phone number, here's the email. Now, they just said use the layout designer if you want to display that somewhere else. Well, sure. I'm fine at the bottom. I can even add my website. Okay. So that's what you can do. And then, of course, I want to change the title of the name of this. So I'm going to go to Manage Template, and I'm going to rename it because I don't want it to say a copy of this page. No, I want it to say Imagine Photography Service. Okay. Imagine Photography Service. Okay. And I can go ahead and click OK. So that means when I am ready to send anything to my customers or, invoice them, it's going to be looking like this. Okay. Now, how do I set those parameters to be able to bill my customers with those invoices? Well, when you go to create an invoice, okay, at the top of the window, you have your templates right here. And you're going to drop down. And in this case, because we have Imagine Photography service invoice, so we want this one. It's not going to show you on your end, but if you go ahead and click print or print preview, then you should see it there. Okay, so if I go to print, okay, and I go preview, There you go. That's what the invoice is going to look like. Okay. Any questions in regards to that? No questions? No?
No, not for me, not till after class.
Okay. All right. QuickBooks list we already went through. So in this case, there's one more section I'm supposed to talk about, but that's okay. It will be connected to chapter 4. So let's just go ahead and save that to chapter 4, which is going to be custom fields, because it is going to be a part of chapter 4, 2, and 10. And we'll talk about that, what it is, when we get there. Okay. So let's go ahead and quickly go over the review and then go on break real quick, and then we'll continue on with the lesson. Okay. So again, multiple choice, starting with the very first one right here. We're going to select the best answers for each of the following. So number 1, you can create custom fields for,
A.
let's see, A. Okay.
Oh, D, I mean. Sorry.
D, yes, good. A and B. A and C. Sorry. A, B. It says both A and C. Yes, you can create custom fields for customers. Yes, you can create them for vendors. And I'm gonna show you that example in the next section when we come back from the break. Templates, no, you cannot create custom fields for templates. You can customize your templates, that's for sure, but you cannot create custom fields. And custom fields, once again, I'll talk about it in the next chapter, is when you have extra information that you want to add into a profile. Okay. Number 2, the 2 types of preferences are A, user and company preferences. Good. Number 3, okay, if you don't see the favorites menu in your menu bar, okay, you can turn it on in the blank
C.
by using the view menu, correct? Okay. Number 4, which of the following is not an available template type in QuickBooks?
C.
C, check, yes, right? We talked about this, right? You cannot create a check, okay? If you want to customize your check, you got to go through your bank or go through Intuit, whichever one you want to do, okay? Number 5, okay? Which of the following can be displayed vertically on the far left side of the screen or horizontally along the top of the window?
D.
Right, that would be the icon bar, yes. Right. So you can have it left aligned, or you can have it at the top of the window, icon bar. Okay. Menu bar, obviously you can't move around. Okay. Home page, right, that's going to be straightforward. Number 6, okay? You cannot customize which of the following.
May I guess?
Go for it.
I think D.
D is correct, right? The open windows list, right? You can't customize that. If you have a window that's open, you only use the open windows list to basically move from one window to another, right? You can't really customize that. The layout on statements, the layout on estimates, yes, you can. We talked about customizing templates just about a second ago. And then, of course, you can customize the icon bar. Number 7, okay, to add an icon to the icon bar, you can use what?
B.
Let's take a look at B, the customize icon window. Okay, yes, you can use the customize icon bar window. What else can you do?
So it's also C, so either A or B. No, D and
Okay,
C.
let's take a look at the answer. So A, right, to add a window name to the icon bar option, that is 100% an option that you can do, right? We just took a look at that when we wanted to add the phone number contact list, right? Yes, so that could be part of something that you could put an icon on the icon bar. You can use the customize icon bar window section. Either you right click on the icon bar or you can go to view and it says customize icon bar. Now let's see, the user preferences to the desktop view. What does that change? Does that change the icon bar?
No, it can change single view or multiple view.
Right, but does that have to do with the icon bar?
No, I don't think so.
So in this case, the question was asking for the icon bar. How do you add an icon to the icon bar? You don't use user preferences for that. So in this case, the answer is A or B, which is letter D. Okay. Number 8, use which of the following to manually design the layout of an invoice? What do we call that?
Layout designer.
The layout designer. Good. Okay. Number 9, the 2 types of price levels are, okay, so in this case, this is when you had to do your reading.
That was A.
Say that again.
A.
A, fixed price, fixed price percentage and per item. Yes. Okay, so I did mention this, that for price levels, right, you can mark up your prices based on the item itself. Like you can just charge a flat rate, or you can actually mark it up by percentage. So in this case, A is correct. Okay. All right, number 10. Okay, you would like to offer a discount when some customers pay their invoices early. Okay, what list should you open to start creating this discount? Sorry.
A terms.
Terms, we call those terms. Yes, so again, there are 2 types of terms, right? Standard terms, which is based on the amount of days that you receive a bill, and then date driven, which is the specific day. Okay. Number 11, okay? The simplest way to offer a regular discount is to a customer is to you're trying to give a regular discount to a customer.
I guess it's D.
Correct. That is correct, right? You're going to just set the price point for the customer. Now, that's if you want to. Again, price levels are really about your company, right? Do you sell your products to more than a specific group of individuals? If you're strictly only for residential, then no, you don't need price points. But if you are offering your services to corporations, commercial companies, etc., right? When you actually have more than one type of customer, then yes, the easiest way to do is just set that price level point and call it a day. Okay? Number 12, where do you control the default settings for your home page?
B.
B, right? Through the preferences desktop view. Okay. Number 13, you can rearrange the order of columns in the templates, okay, using the blank.
A.
A, right? The managing the templates window. Yeah, so that's, yes, you can do that. Good. Number 14, okay, to switch between multiple open windows, use the blank.
D.
D. 14 is D, either A or C. So A is using the Windows menu, and then B is going to Alt and C. Open the window on the icon bar. Okay, good. Right, you're just going to open up the window, or you just, yeah, good. Number 15, last but not least, okay, the icons on the home page.
D.
D, which is both B and C. So B says can be hidden. Yes, they can, right? We talked about how you can customize the home page. You can hide them. And then C says don't show if the feature is not active, right? And that's what we did, right? We inactivated sales tax, or we inactivated keeping track of time. We inactivated inventory, and they don't appear. So in this case, D is the correct answer. All right? So right now it is 10:30 exactly. Since we're kind of running behind, go ahead and take just a quick 15-minute break. So please be back no later than 10:45, and we'll start the very first section of chapter 4, okay? And then we'll call it the rest of the day, okay? All right, see you back here at 10:45.